Bonjour, Kinamagian in Ireland and Dishnikas, and welcome to this week's edition of our Week at a Glance videos. This week, featuring Week 5. We'll begin in our Google Classroom, as we always do. Students can access from any of their devices with the Google Classroom app using their @sagchipschool.net emails. There's contact information here. You can also email me at mireland@sagchip.org. On this page, we'll find newsletters. Here's today's newsletter. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Some previous week's learning videos, a link to Bundy Hill. We'll be talking about that here during this episode. Scroll down, you can find the breakfast and lunch menu for September. We'll soon have October's posted, probably in another week and a half. Some information about Fridays, though this post will probably stay up here for more than a few minutes, but we have them here. So let's actually start with Bundy Hill. Our class will be visiting Bundy Hill tomorrow, so that is September 15th, always the weather permitting. But right now, the forecast looks marvelous. Expected high in the low 70s, although we are in the woods. So some things I'm going to ask of you. The students must wear closed-toed shoes, no slides. It's for their safety. We are walking up trails. Tennis shoes are the best thing for it, or hiking shoes if students have them. Tennis shoes will be more than fine. That's what I'll be wearing. But slides, flip-flops, those kind of sandals without a bag, we'd ask that they not wear those. I encourage students to dress in layers. Some students will be just fine at 70 degrees in the woods. They won't need a sweatshirt or a hoodie, but some will. There's no problem with a student having a hoodie with them. And they can always take that off and tie it around their waist. We'll be visiting there in the afternoon, so at least they'll have a little time for it to have warmed up. This is the first of what will likely be multiple trips to Bundy Hill, either for SEL or for science during the school year. It's a really nice place. Check out the website here. This is, like I said, linked in the Google Classroom. It's got a history of Bundy Hill, a map. We will be taking, I want to say it's the history trail initially, but that'll be up to Miss Woodworth because she'll lead tomorrow's track. But there are multiple trails. We'll probably be back here when the colors get a little further along, but you can kind of see where that is. Now bouncing into our newsletter, some important schedule notes. And I bolded the one for Monday, the 18th. That was originally a school day. But now is going to be no school for students, professional development full day for staff. So your student will have a 3-day weekend coming up here. Actually back-to-back 3-day weekends, because as you notice a little further down, Friday is Michigan Anishinaabe Gijagad and Michigan Indian Day. So there is no school that day. I'll have that mentioned in next week's newsletters. Wednesday is still a half day for PD. On half days, SEA will dismiss at noon and lunch is served. If your student normally rides the bus to the gym after school, they will need to be picked up at SEA at noon. Our meetings start usually around shortly after. So we please ask that you be prudent in picking your student up relatively quickly. We have some links to our SCA's website, which is part of the tribal education website. Homework, a lot of our students are doing fairly well in homework, getting it done, turned in. Those students who are getting a little too comfortable and not getting it all in, you probably as parents and guardians will be hearing from me sooner than later. We want to encourage our students to develop good study habits so that when they get to middle school, they're not going to find themselves overwhelmed when they have homework in 6 classes. If you're getting this video, you already get this weekly email. But if you're friends with a parent in this class that's not getting the email, please have them reach out to me at mireland@sagchipschool.net or mireland@sagchip.org. I'll get their emails into this and make sure they get the video. Then what are we learning? Students are now learning a little bit about multiplication. We're kind of getting primed for that. I have found a good tool for students to memorize math facts. I know that a lot of times we say, well, let's teach them why. That is helpful. But also being able to automatically look and say, oh, 7 times 3 is 21 and not have to think about it. It does help, especially when we get into division and some of the other math that they're going to do in the upcoming school years. In language arts, we're still engaged in a unit that's about civics, government, and citizenship. Although you'll notice that not so much next week. On social studies, we are now learning about the cultural regions of the United States, such as the Eastern Woodlands, the Southeast, the Great Plains, the Pacific Northwest Coast, the Plateau, the California Intermountain region, and the Southwest. Kind of looking at what's the characteristics of our nations that lived in those regions, and then also looking at the commonalities across the regions. I'll kind of highlight that in class to see that indigenous tradition is across Turtle Island. And there's more similarities than differences. Science, we are looking at ecosystems. And you'll see our language corner here. So let's now look at our learning plan. We have no school on Monday or Friday and a half day on Wednesday, so it's pretty short. Reading, we're going to step outside and do some scholastic stuff. Writing, we continue with this pre-assessment that'll be starting in class today. If we get done early, we'll just have a free write on one of those days. Science, we're going to get some action-packed science on Tuesday and Thursday. Social studies, we'll be looking at the Constitution a little bit on Tuesday, and then back into our regions on Thursday. You can see the different things we do in math review and enrichment and web and in small groups there. If you have any questions about tomorrow's field trip, please do reach out to me at mireland@sagchip.org or mireland@sagchipschool.net. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. As part of our FRIA, so the permission slip was already taken care of when you signed that one at the beginning of the year. But I still always make sure that we have multiple opportunities to make sure that you know that this trip is coming. As now it's the end of week 4. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to check in on your student, please do also reach out to me. Hope everyone has a minute. Minwa, I'm a P.